It looks a bit better. True.
And Ryan, tell us.
Oh, my lord.
You're right here.
Doing intros, openings. What are we doing?
Yeah, just do both if you want. Yeah, go ahead and get it.
So, I'm Ryan Mullally. I'm an attorney. I've litigated every level of the U.S. legal system up to and including the U.S. Supreme Court.
Wow.
My buddy Sean's here. It should be a good night, fun debate.
So brave.
And yeah, we're debating tonight whether the left is tyrannical and lawless. And I think the answer is obviously yes, because when the left has power, they tyrannically violate our natural rights in the spirit of our federalism, and they impose their policies on the country contrary to the consent of the governed. And when they don't have power, they behave lawlessly, and they support those who are behaving lawlessly in order to promote their agenda.
Gen 6, 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 January 6, January 6, Gen 6.
What their side is doing, and then quickly try to pivot to argue that Trump is somehow worse. But tonight, this is an interesting moment because tonight the prompt is only about the left, whether the left is tyrannical and lawless and has nothing to do with Trump. And I applaud these guys for taking this prompt.
Sure. So we don't even get to talk about Donald Trump and all the shit he's done, right? So every time they say that, it's not about Donald Trump. We have to, it's a focus on the left.
It's actually very unusual for to see left-wingers take a prompt which doesn't have any relation to Trump. So I am encouraged.
I mean, if the prompt was related to Trump, he'd probably try and date it.
That they took this, and I look forward to exploring these topics with these gentlemen and see if they're able or even willing to defend some of the tyrannical and lawless conduct of the left.
All right, thank you so much. And Mr. Criminal, would you like to give an opening before we move on to our ball-having leftist down there?
No, I can't really summarize it better than Ryan did. So no, I can. I'll just defer that.
Oh, fantastic! All right, so one of our strong men down here, Tom.
Yes.
Yeah, my name's Tom. Go by Tom Fuller Show. Stream on YouTube, mostly third shift, very late at night. 8 p.m. Eastern time till about 4 to 6 a.m. Eastern time. So long 8 to 10 hour streams on a daily basis. I am here to debate whether or not the left is lawless and tyrannical. I'm actually interested to see what possible arguments could come of this. The main thing that I would like to know is what we're even talking about when it comes to being lawless or tyrannical. I don't know what they mean when they say these words. I doubt they even came with definitions prepared. So I see they're likely scrambling to find some definitions to run with real quick. But the idea
I know this guy,
we're going
Vince Wilson,
to have a conversation about whether or not the left is lawless and tyrannical without talking about Trump seems absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we would have to know that there is some sort of consistent standard among what it is that they mean when they say the left is lawless and tyrannical. So obviously Trump will be part of the conversation, at least as a a standard to see if it's held consistently. And then on top of that, we would want to know where the lines are drawn when things become lawless or tyrannical as well. So I'm interested to find out what the standards are, what the definitions are, and what it is that they think are examples of this.
Yes, I agree. Lawyers are always famously underprepared and hate definitions. That's the thing they do. I can't believe that you would come to that conclusion. It's the only conclusion, really. But Vince, well, who are you? What are you out here for? And give us your intro. What do you think?
Nice.
My name is the Vince Wilson Show. I am the infamous debater on this space that has hidden in the shadows and finally decided to come out from underneath my rock and kind of awaken the dragon, if you will. So that is what we're here to do today.
Awaken the dragon.
I always come prepared. Also, by the way, I find it very weird how me and Tom have inadvertently matched and you guys have matched. Think it's weird. Wasn't planned, but hey, we'll rock with it. It's great. Yeah.
Okay, Fabe.
So here's my opener. Is the left lawless and tyrannical? No. And I can already predict, as Ryan has already laid out, how my opponents are going to argue that they are. They're going to give you a list, a riot, a protest.
They're going to check it twice.
A Democratic politician who said something irresponsible, maybe a prosecutor they don't like, maybe a governor who abused their authority. They're going to take individual examples, stack them on top of one another, and hope that the sheer volume of accusations somehow proves their argument. It doesn't, because a list of bad things is not a standard. If it were, I could spend the next several hours listing every crime, every abuse of power, and every act of political violence committed by someone on the right and simply declare victory. But that would be intellectually dishonest. It would completely avoid the actual question we're supposed to be debating tonight. The question is whether the left is lawless and tyrannical. Those words have meaning, as Tom has laid out. Lawlessness is not simply someone on your political side breaking the law. Tyranny is not a politician passing a policy you don't like. If that is a standard, then every political movement in American history is both lawless and tyrannical, and this entire debate becomes meaningless. So
this dude has his alerts coming through. Okay.
We need a standard, and the only intellectually honest way to establish a standard is through comparison. When someone on the left crosses a line, what happens? Do Democratic leaders condemn them? Do prosecutors charge them? Do courts intervene? Do institutions push back? Is there an attempt to hold that person accountable? Then we apply that exact same question to the right. Not a different standard, not a more forgiving standard, the exact same one. And this is where my opponents argue against and collapse. Because for every example they bring up on the left, we will find Democratic leaders condemning members of their own side. We will find Democratic administrations prosecuting people associated with their own political movements. We will find institutions pushing back against abuse of power. I'm wrapping it up. The left is not perfect. I've never claimed it was. But my opponents need you to believe that the imperfection is tyranny while refusing to acknowledge actual authoritarian behavior when it comes to their own side. They need you to believe that a protester throwing a brick represents the Democratic Party, but a president pardoning people who committed crimes on his behalf somehow doesn't represent him. They need you to believe that inflammatory rhetoric from a random activist represents the entire left, but inflammatory rhetoric from the most powerful Republican in the country is simply a joke. They need you to believe that every abuse of power on the left condemns the entire movement. But when their side attacks independent institutions, pressures political opponents, ignores congressional authority, or attempts to consolidate power around one man, suddenly every example must be examined in complete isolation. Do you see the game? The standard changes depending on who is being accused. The left is judged collectively. The right is judged individually. Have a few more sentences.
Can this cunt mute his notifications? Jesus Christ.
The left is judged by its worst actors. The right demands to be judged by its best intentions, and I'm not going to allow that senator to survive this debate. But for every example they bring forward, we're going to ask the same question. Did leaders condemn it? Was there accountability?
Like everyone in the call is listening to these notifications.
Institutions push back. Most importantly, did the movement embrace the behavior or reject it? Because once you stop arguing from outrage and start applying a consistent standard, the comparison becomes remarkably clear.
Yeah, don't worry. That was not the longest opener we've ever had. I promise.
That's okay. I was going for a record.
Fabian's been here. Fabian Liberty's been here. We had like a 20-minute over one time. I was like, all right, brother.
Yeah, we just went straight from with Fabian. Just go straight from openings to closings.
There you go.
Speaking of which, before we get started, I just want to make sure we're on the same page with timing. I know, Sean, you have a hard out. I just want to make sure we know what the time controls are before we get started.
Oh, what I'm near. I love browsers. They're not annoying. Oof. Okay, hang on. Okay. Okay, this is kind of important to me, at least.
I'm more doomer than I ever was, to be honest.
Yeah.
It contradicts what they're saying.
Oh, lovely. Okay, we're just gonna have to fix this. This one. Okay, there we go.
They're saying like they're not that bad, they're not that different, they're not that radical, but then they're like, yeah, I'm gonna like de-radicalize the fuck out of them by interacting with them.
So I had this like reputation early on online of being like a really extremely far left libcuck person, and it's like my social views are fairly far left, but I'm not really that far left. I was never like the ultra wokey type person, but I would have that reputation because I'd have to go through so many of these weirdo centrists, and that's like the exact same thing that's happening now, where Hassan and all these other people can mask on and be like, you know, I just want healthcare, and then when they're on their own streams, they're like way more insane. Yeah. It reminds me of the trick that unfortunately Jordan Peterson and a lot of conservatives.
Okay, I don't want the music.
And we learned that the Nazis were bad, and then we learned that we had like McCarthyism, where we were mean to socialists, and then that's basically all we ever learn about any of it. So, and then if you enter like the real political world in the United States, the only thing you learn is that apparently every single Democrat is a communist, because that's what every single Republican calls like Barack Obama.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, it's not an excuse
No,
for
yeah, it's
people
not.
who especially.
But when
Yeah,
I look at
yeah,
people
like,
when I think of people like Pisco or Josiah or whatever, like I don't think these people are thinking like, you know, fuck, I think the Soviet Union was good. I think they really just think that all of it is just super overblown, and like there's no way that it's really
Yeah,
this
but that's
crazy.
how they sneak in, though. That's
I
the
know,
problem. Like,
yeah.
I know that. Yeah, yeah, I know. I don't suspect goddamn like Pisco or Josiah to be like fucking Stalinists in disguise. You know, I'm just saying that it's just that they're still. I think you're like very adamant on that point, but I super agree with it, and I appreciate that you are not duped by it. That you know, people like them are not may not be, you know, fucking socialists, but they 100% don't think it's that bad.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you know, they wouldn't be. That's why you like hammer them with fucking Nuke Fuentes or Nazi like shit, and they're like, no, those guys are too far away from my like morals or my, you know, views or my ideals or whatever. But apparently, Stalinist isn't.
Yeah.
So I think you were like, I saw like an old clip.
I can't watch this.
Sometimes the recent leftist bad art.
True. The cat
Sometimes the recent leftist bad arc is only like a month and a half old. don't know. We'll see. We'll see where he goes with this. I really like Josiah. To me, Josiah is like a good person. I think, like behind the scenes, you know, a good person. I'm just very fond of my friendship with him, even though we do get into like really significant disagreements sometimes. I'm not as close with Pisco, but there's still like an affection there. And so I do feel defensive of my pals when I see some of the heightened rhetoric.
Okay.
Distinctions between you and IRI. We were all pretty much united in our overall dispositions, both on the Wick conversation and, frankly, on the Keith Edwards conversations. But sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, no. So like, I didn't want to pile on. You know, if I have a particular animus towards a person or their views, then. But like even with Wick, like you know, I popped on. What did I say when I first joined? I said, well, I'm basically just going to take a back seat. And for the most part, I didn't engage with Wick. You know, I corrected him on like the state delegation thing in the House of Representatives. But other than that, I didn't really join the dog pile. And so I took kind of a similar view or similar proposition with Keith, except the difference is, you know, not that I think that Wick did particularly well making his point, but he certainly did a hell of a lot better than Keith did. You know, he wasn't stammering and stumbling over his words, visibly uncomfortable, visibly, you know, SC. And so I felt even more.
Yeah. He was able to.
It does seem like it's Josiah burning the bridge with Destiny. If you won't have a conversation with Destiny over this disagreement, they've been having this conversation by proxy for weeks. Well, to be fair to Josiah, Destiny's been going pretty fucking hard on Josiah. I haven't watched this video yet, but I think they're going too hard on Josiah, but the point Destiny is making is largely correct. I mean, I do agree with a lot of his points. I just think he's going from 0 to 100, you know. That's just the way that he operates. That's his speed. Like once he locks in on you, he's like a fucking tractor beam, but it's more like a repulsor beam.
You know, SC. And so I felt even more. But even with it, but even with a more confident and assertive Wick, I still kind of pulled my punches because everyone was, you know, basically batting him around like a pinata, and I just don't think it was fair. Even though he obviously, you know, was fine with it. He also
can I say something perhaps controversial though?
Sure.
That's all true, right? We know Wick more. We've been around Wick more. We know Wick can take it more. But there's another thing here too, which is Wick's substantive opinions triggered me more than average DSA slop, right?
There we go. I wish we could just open with that. That's the issues. You didn't actually disagree with Keith that much. You mega disagreed with Wick. Theoretically should be more in line with our views than Keith, but yeah.
See, that right there, like, I don't think that necessarily follows. I don't think what Pisco said necessarily means what Destiny said. If he's saying that Wick's answers were more frustrating than Keith Edwards, well, to be fair, Wick was making the case that a Republican governor would be better in the state of Wisconsin. That's a really consequential opinion. So
the Tate
Pisco
brothers are
thought that Wick's answer was more triggering than Keith's answers. That doesn't mean that, you know, what did Destiny say? That doesn't mean that he really didn't he really didn't disagree with Keith all that much. That's not what that means. That doesn't necessarily mean that. You know what I mean? Like, but he gets into this fight mode sometimes, right? Like, hold on.
We've been around Wick more. We know Wick can take it more. But there's another thing here too, which is Wick's substantive opinions triggered me more than average DSA slop, right?
There we go. I wish we could just open with that. That's the issues. You didn't actually disagree with Keith that much. You mega disagreed with Wick. Theoretically should be more in line with our views than Keith, but yeah, I guess. I mean, than the actual stated views, but maybe the internal views are the ones that aren't as publicized. Maybe they do have a stronger sense of like DSA.
I don't know. I just like what Wick's take, I think, should be pretty controversial in a liberal.
I mean, it depends, right? Like if you were equally upset about both positions, but that's not the case. They kind of like, they 90% agree with the guys on the far left. That's the problem.
Space. The situation has to be extremely dire, extremely extraordinary to propose the idea that a Republican winning a governor's seat in a swing state is the better outcome than a bonehead DSA person. That's going to be, you know, in a liberal space, that's going to be, in my opinion, a tough pitch. By supporting Hong, we make it harder for us to win against MAGA overall. I just don't think that there's a great argument for that outcome being preferable to a Republican controlling, like having control of a swing state during a time when we were going to be redoing the census. Like that's such a tough pitch, man. And you already know I will grant you, I do think electing Hong, it's just going to be a headache for Democrats. That's putting it mildly. She's going to cause problems. She's going to say and do boneheaded things. But at the end of the day, and that will make Democrats' jobs harder. But I could make an argument, Wick, for a harm reduction principle of letting her just kind of trip on her face. because yeah, that's gonna be a headache for Democrats, but it's also gonna set them back a bit. You realize that, right? Like, if the country watches a state like Wisconsin elect a DSA governor, and then she does her boneheaded shit, that is going to set them back. You know what I mean? Like, people, other constituencies in other cities and other states are going to be more hesitant. Listen, I don't know if I want to rehash the whole debate. All right. Listen, if you want to have a conversation about it, you can do that. Hop in my Discord. I'll pull you up.
I don't know if you agree with that, but it does.
Oh, sure, of course, right? I mean, because we regard MAGA as the greater threat, and our professional disposition is towards like combating MAGA. And so when we have somebody who's nominally an ally in the space, Wick, do things that we think undermine that effort, of course, it's going to trigger a more emotional response and frustrate us more. So I totally agree. Like I was more frustrated with Wick than I was Keith. Like there was more indifference to it, except for the cringe that I felt at the time.
Okay, we're actually gonna make some notes here. What else?
Watching him try to go through this, right? It was truly profoundly embarrassing to watch. And so, yeah, but I mean, even then, like I tried to challenge it. I pushed back on the Hassan Piker thing, for instance. Encouraging him to revisit his opinions on Hassan as a close ally of the Democratic Party. Of course, now what's funny is
you did express that view, for which you don't get credit at all. No
right.
Good grace.
Yeah, and right. No, it's actually go through this, right? It was truly profoundly embarrassing to watch. Cringed more. So I totally agree. Like I was more frustrated with Wick than I was Keith. Like there was more indifference to it, except for the cringe that I felt at the time watching him try to go through this, right? It was truly profoundly embarrassing to watch. And so, yeah, but I mean, even then, like I tried to challenge it. I pushed back on the Hassan Piker thing, for instance. Encouraging him to revisit his opinions on Hassan.
At all. No.
Right.
All right, let's back.
Right. No.
Let's back up just a little bit here to get.
It's actually go through this, right? It was truly profoundly embarrassing to watch. Cringed more. So I totally agree. Like I was more frustrated with Wick than I was Keith. Like there was more indifference to it, except for the cringe that I felt at the time watching him try to go through this, right? It was truly profoundly embarrassing.
Hey, I respect your opinion. Okay.
To watch. And so, yeah, but I mean, even then, like I tried to challenge it. I pushed back.
Why do you respect his opinion? You're just saying you disagree with it. If you disagree with it, then that means you don't respect it.
Back on the Hassan Piker thing, for instance, encouraging him to revisit his opinions on Hassan as a close ally of the Democratic Party. Of course, now what's funny is
you did express that view, for which you don't get credit at all. No.
Right. Good grace. Yeah. Right. No, 100%. And so, like, well,
just as a heads up, because everybody treats all of these conversations with kids' gloves, and it might just be at the end of the day, these guys just want to network. Maybe I don't fucking know. But like, Hassan Piker explicitly endorses like terrorism. Like, explicitly endorses terrorism. Not even just explicitly endorses terrorism. Like explicitly endorses and has endorsed like terrorist attacks. Like, so far beyond the pale of, like, if I were to tell somebody like this is not involved in politics, or 99% of the Democratic Party, nobody ever actually confronts him on this or plays these clips, right? They would think that, like, so you're saying Hassan said what? That they would probably imagine that he's saying that October 7th was understandable, and it's like, no. He has taken explicit terrorist acts and supported them. Is he saying, like, in service of them ending, like, a genocide, like, he can understand? It's like, no. He has watched multiple terrorist attacks happening on stream and supported those terrorist attacks. He's given justifications for them, and then he has watched them on Twitch and said they were based in cool. And then he's also brought on somebody and interviewed them who claimed to be a Houthi terrorist and supported him the entire time. That's the level that we're talking about now.
How's that guy's lawsuit against Ethan going, by the way?
The idea that we would like this is a worse performance of things that I would imagine to be aligned with than like a Nick Fuentes. Like, it would be easier for me to say that like I could see there are some Nazis that you might have agreements with on things or whatever, blah blah blah. Versus like, oh yeah, Hassan, like he's definitely the tent, but like maybe we should push back on something. Like that's just we're so far out to sea on these takes, and then these guys will always like play up the oh well, I think you're just obsessed.
Was it real? Definitely. I'm pretty sure BE reached out to that kid and helped to orchestrate that whole thing. But that kid was like trying to raise money to do a lawsuit against Ethan, and he was posting the funniest fucking tweets. Do you guys remember any of these tweets? It's like, because of Ethan Klein, I am now, Ethan Klein ruined my life by calling me a terrorist. That's why I need your support to, sue him for 100,000 or whatever. He had like 50 of those tweets.
Or whatever. And it's like, that's where we're at right now. Like we have to be supporting people and having people in our coalition that support terrorist attacks against the West. Like, and now.
Are you talking about the kid who was literally a Houthi? Yeah, that kid, yeah.
Like
Tim Houthi Chalamet or whatever.
They blew up a military base in an unethical way, or they bombed like a plane. Like just full on civilian level, sometimes terrorist attacks is that should be an easy too far beyond the pale. But
in the case of Josiah and Pisco, both of them, like in our conversations, have indicated to me that they don't think that Hassan is like being helpful. I mean, that's like putting it mildly. So what makes it a little bit confusing is when you have someone like Keith Edwards come on and run this like really affirmative defense of Hassan. That, I guess, like that's what is confusing, because it feels like a blind spot, respectfully to my pals, on both Pisco and Josiah's part. It's like, okay, well, you will acknowledge to me that Hassan's like I would say pretty bad for Democratic Party politics, but then when you have somebody who like Keith Edwards, who has a pretty decent audience, coming on the podcast and making these defenses of Hassan, it's like, well, how do you not connect those dots? So that's a little frustrating. And there's some other angles to this too, but I want to let this play out a little bit more here. And it's like I share some of Destiny's like frustrations with my boys, who are my boys.
Well, I mean,
my
I
boys.
conversations, meeting people.
Like there was one moment in the podcast where Josiah jumped in after Keith had said something insane. I don't remember what he said. And Josiah's framing was, Keith, respectfully, I don't think you're going about this the right way. And he was like offering him a better way to make the argument. That was a little confusing to me, because it's like, well, hang on a second. It's not his framing.
My God, can the live and learn guys just fuck each other already?
Of the argument that is the issue. It's his whole perspective here. And so I hope Josiah takes a look at that and like reflects on that at some point. I'm telling you guys, give me time to wear him down. Okay. He will see as my eyes have seen. All right. He doesn't see it yet, but he will. Just give me time. Give me time, you guys. Keith, the oil belongs to the earth. Edwards.
Blocking people who, like I don't mind
True.
somebody critiquing me or somebody disagreeing with me, and I tend to engage with people like I'm an addict in space.
You go into the trenches. You've done it on Immunity.
Yeah, but like,
all that stuff.
Yeah, but like, I guess I'm at the point now, especially when it comes from like communities that I suppose I thought were at least Confederates, directionally speaking. Like that actually, as irritated as I get with, or used to get with Ryan McNally, I never blocked him, right? But I've been blocking various people left, right, and center in the past like week or so, just because I don't talk to this shit. But that's okay. Like it's genuine.
I wonder. I'm so curious if this comes up behind the scenes at all. Is it like, don't say Destiny, don't say DGG? Like it has to be like boogeyman language also as well. I feel like the tactics and the strategies like become so ubiquitous, at least on the far left. It's just so weird. I don't know.
Yeah, like if you disagree with him, just fucking say his name. Jesus.
Whatever.
Been a peaceful day. I've been, back.
He didn't block me, but he blocked Conduit. And this is like very obviously, like he's saying right now, I've been getting so much pushback against the, what did he say, right, left, center, whatever. Like
who blocked Conduit? Who blocked you? Pisco or Josiah?
From the right? What, really? No, come on.
Oh, well, listen. The inner movement fighting that's happening right now, I keep saying that throughout this entire stream, is just way too fucking dialed up. Way too dialed up. And unless you've been on the receiving end of like a deluge of very angry comments.
This is going to be one of those things where everyone says Destiny's going too far and then he's going to end up being proven correct.
It's
going to be annoying.
Really heightened, charged comments in your replies, and if there's dozens or hundreds, that's a pretty uncomfortable experience. Even if I wanted to grant you guys, okay, let's just say you're...
That's what leftists have been fucking doing. I'm not DMing fucking any of these dudes and talking shit. I don't fucking
all your
know,
criticisms of Josiah are correct. I still don't think it warrants the level of vitriol that happens just way too quick in these spaces. And I wouldn't take that personally, Conduit. I wouldn't take that personally. I mean, I can reach out to him and explain that he's probably not super familiar with you, but I can imagine being in Josiah's shoes and then like looking at my comments and just wanting to fucking tune it all out, because it's a lot. All it leaves me with $2. Blocking Conduit is indefensible. Sorry, Hutch. LMAO. I don't even think about it that way. It's like, if you catch me in the right mood, I might impulsively block someone that I shouldn't have blocked. The front with $5. Live and Learn needs to have an honest conversation about how bad y'all think socialism actually is. It's the big elephant in the room. Honestly, that's an interesting idea. That would be fun to unpack that. I mean, it would be good to know that, yeah. I mean, we've had conversations that approach that topic, but maybe not that precisely.
I don't have to this shit. But that's okay. Like, it's genuinely been a peaceful day. I've been, back in my usual routine, whatever. And so the thing is, I just got to stay in my lane in the sense that, I'm not a streamer. You have streamers, and I rise a streamer. Soykill, is certainly more streamer than I am. He does it more regularly. And you guys don't have the same schedules I do. And not to say that my life's harder or whatever, but like, my cup runneth over. Yeah, my cup runneth over. And like, I hired an editor, and he's going to start full time on Monday. But like, that's not going to give me much respite because, we've launched Facebook recently. We're trying to grow that. Maybe
My guy that was editing my videos for a year and a half, man, he landed in greener pastures. Let me tell you what. I hope he attaches himself to Josiah like a fucking barnacle. Y'all really haven't discussed it since Econoboy left. It's come up like a little bit. It's come up like a little bit at times.
On Substack as well. So I'm going to be working still all the time. But the point is, as much as I do enjoy, going into like live stream.
Does the sound pressing his thumb on the scale by uplifting Pisco on his streams play a role in the brain breaking? I don't know. They might. It's hard to know 100% how much it impacts things. I imagine it probably does to some extent because there's a reason why all of them engage this way with online content creators. But
stream debates and Twitter Spaces and stuff like that, and popping on Live and Learn. Especially when dated by a Soykill and by Hutch and by Wick.
Disco Becky, do you believe battling off the DSA in the public forum takes priority over revolting against this administration? I don't think there's a correct answer to that. I don't think that there's a default answer to that applies to everybody. We all have different roles in this media environment. And like for me personally, I focus on battling with...
I think it's circumstantial. Depends on time and place, right? So
with those people, because I think that there need to be voices that are talking about this and like focused on it and unpacking it more. And like we need, I keep going back to this idea of like right now, I think that we need prominent voices on the left, left of center, in the center left alternative media space and the progressive liberal media space. We need more people that are focused entirely on unmasking DSA people. Like the whole thing, I don't mean docs, I mean like revealing their power level, because I can't keep looking at like tweets like this from Mehdi Hasan. I just can't. This is a very big problem.
Angie.
Mehdi Hasan says the right wants Nazism and ethnic cleansing. The far left wants Medicare for all. Like that is, I think, one of the biggest problems in the media right now. This framing is so ubiquitous. It is so common for people to have these kinds of takes. And I don't know if Mehdi Hasan is intentionally, deceptively, maliciously sane-washing, because there's a very decent chance that he actually believes this. There's a very decent chance that he actually believes this framing, and it's such bullshit. The issue with the far left or DSA is not that they want to give people healthcare. That's not the problem, obviously. And so, I just think I think we need to talk about that more. Like I don't want to live in a world where this kind of take goes without everybody dunking on it. I think a lot of these kinds of takes just went unchallenged for a lot of years, and that allowed those narratives to crystallize and take hold.
Yes.
And we can't do that anymore. It's just like that's one
they
of the
just
reasons
want you to
why
have health.
libs get so fucking buried on social media with the slopulous stuff. Yeah, unmasking those who would subvert the Democrats, I agree, should be the focus of this discourse. But everybody has different roles to play. Like everybody has different hats that they wear. And so I'm not saying everybody needs to talk about it, but like more people do. Like more people need to talk about it. Definitely, 100%.
At Destiny, your fans do a lot more attacking now. Even IRI banned super easily. Yeah.
Jesus, I can't even spell disastrous.
I think I'm okay with it though. I think we should be more. It's harder now, obviously, because now we're in a don't let the power corrupt or whatever bullshit. But I think that if we choose good positions, it should be very easy to just not support terrorism. I'm sorry, that should be an easy and obvious bridge too far. And when we're saying that like the people who are worshiping terrorist attacks are directionally supportive of us, that's not directionally supportive of me. That's absolutely not. I have zero desire to be in or promote a political party that is outwardly and explicitly aligning itself with people that support terrorists that are attacking the West. In fact, and I would have assumed that would have easily been a bridge too far. That's like I wouldn't even have to consider this as being like a debated position. These are the caricaturized positions that conservatives used to accuse Democrats of holding. So I don't know. That's very, very, very easy to me.
Like it is fun, and I don't regret, the other night in the conversation with Wick and Keith. I did have a good time. The problem is like Yeah, my schedule's just like I really need to. Adam doesn't do this. Luke doesn't do this. Like people in my space who do what I do who are not streamers. There's a reason that they don't like make themselves available on the Twitter spaces. You don't have the time for this shit. And when you do, you have finite energy. And so like every single time, like it just fucks up the rest of the day in terms of like my workload. So yeah, I'm definitely.
Poor Josiah, man. He's addicted, man. He's addicted. He is an addict. He's a fucking addict. He can't help himself. He just has to. He'll come back too. Watch, in 2 weeks he'll be jumping in the arena once more.
What?
Did I miss anything good?
No, just the daily slop.
Someone said you were debating somebody.
Nope. Who said that?
Oh. Well, I don't know. I checked my mentions. They said Mr. Moon would have hated this guy and screamed at him in 3 minutes. Something.
Well, we were probably listening to somebody else debating somebody. Bitch.
Or massive effect. I've committed to that. And the only reason I popped in when you asked is also because it's not a debate. And so I'm not going to be here for 3 hours.
Does Josiah really see someone like Keith or even Hassan as being on the same axis as us, just more? He can't be that politically literate. The problem is that, especially if you're from Europe, you and in America, we really only have like liberalism for my lifetime. Like it's only very recently that these kind of like illiberal things have started to pop up, and Americans really don't understand or have any way to engage with any of these more radical or these like I hate to say illiberal because we abuse the fuck out of this word, but like these more like yeah, I mean like these illiberal.
Illiberal's the word.
Yeah, ideologies. And the only reason why I didn't even deal with it at all is just because we spent so much time like debating Nazis and stuff that it kind of I don't know if you say primed me, prepped me, or helped me understand how some of these ideologies work in the abstract. Just because otherwise I don't know when the fuck I would have been dealing with like weird anti-liberal belief systems. But outside of that, like in the United States, you just don't typically deal with it. It's just not a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that, I appreciate that, and yeah, it's true that like I don't see Beasley Mockler at all doing like regular streams and being generally accessible. Now maybe there's
technically Beasley streams every day, but like he does like Hackman does. He streams his whole show, right? It's like an organized thing, and yes, we'll read super chats, but it's not like he's playing video games and fucking around just reading random court cases or as you do and others. Like it's what we all do in this space, except he live streams it, and then afterwards his editors go back and they carve up the individual sections and post it the rest of the day.
Okay, so before you have to go, I just wanted your take overall on the response to El Sayed's victory. I was like very pleased with how the powers that be, Stevens herself, all like some of the Democrats are calling for unity against Mike Rogers. I think more and more it demonstrates that like more than they are distinct, the Democrats, both voter and representative and leader, are more unified against MAGA than they are disunified. And a lot of these like fractures, yes, they're real in the primary context, but in the bigger picture, towards the general, it's kind of more online, and there aren't that many people.
Like, just to be clear, I don't know what Peace Corps' level of engagement is past online stuff. Like, what he's describing that's not unique to this electoral season. Like, Democrats have always been like that. Like, again, the Hillary Obama primary, that was a very, very, very contentious primary for a lot of reasons, and the Democratic Party came together after that. Like, generally, the Democratic Party does come together after these things. Like, the issue has always been the fact that it's the lefties that won't and haven't and didn't, and the non-committed movement, all this stuff. Like, that's been the issue. Like, I don't know how you, going back to the debate about like Hong versus Tiffany. As I see it, there are 2 potential outcomes. They're going to be different variations of these outcomes, but overall, kind of generally 2 potential outcomes if Hong wins the primary and goes on to win the general. The first outcome is she does moderate. She does realize that she can't do a lot without the legislature. I mean, she can do some stuff as governor, and then you have like an AOC situation where like AOC won in 2018 and she came out the gate pretty aggressive and just very clearly over time started to mature and understand that politics is not just about constantly virtue signaling. Okay, there was a lot more of that in the beginning of her career. Okay, so if that happens, great. That to me doesn't seem very dangerous. Okay, that would be fine. I would be fine with that. She's to my left, but that would be fine, right? Like, if the reality existed where she is sworn in and then matures similarly to AOC, then that would be fine. Now, listen, I'm not saying that is likely or whatever, but that is the one outcome. Or the other outcome, guys, is that she really is a moron and a bonehead and will lose her bid for re-election, and that makes the DSA look bad. Like, it makes the Democratic Party look bad, sure, but it also makes the DSA look bad.
No, because the DSA will just say that AIPAC money fucking influenced the election result, right? It was within 1 percentage point, and they said that it was
bad, right? Like, that would make other constituencies in different parts of the country more reluctant to elevate someone like her. And so, I don't see any acknowledgement.
He doesn't understand that they're radicals. They don't, whether they win or lose doesn't matter to them. What matters is pushing out their rhetoric.
Of like the potential benefits of those 2 outcomes in this particular debate, which is, I'm not talking about the debate that Destiny's having with Josiah and Peace. I'm harking back to the debate I was having with Wick, but yeah. So to pretend he's like giving credit here, like, oh, the Democrats came together, and so that shows that all the contention that people are having is just like online stuff. And it's like, yeah, that was kind of always the complaint, is that we should be able to all come together politically, and it shouldn't be these huge, like, they're all genocide supporters, so we're not going to support the candidate and blah, blah, blah.
I want apologies when their candidate loses in 2028. I want apologies.
Well, we don't know. Who knows what 2028 will be like.
That's true.
Like, let's vote for.
Hutch, just look at what happened with Scott Walker from 2011 to 2019 with the trifecta, Act 10, gerrymandering, Foxconn deal. Tiffany cannot win. I'm with you. You don't have to convince me.
Republican over El Sayed, if you're a faithful Democratic voter. I don't believe that is a major position. So I just want to get your reaction to El Sayed's victory and the follow-on from that.
Oh, I mean, like I love the fact that you know, the people, you know, it was just like it was domino. It was just like one right after another, and happening in such rapid succession. So yeah, so you had Merle obviously was the first one out the gate to publicly endorse El Sayed, and then she obviously spoke the victory speech. She was the one.
I've read this a lot, but I don't know if it's true. If it is true, this is kind of ironic. But do you know if this is true? I heard that on the debate stage, that Haley Stevens explicitly stated that she would endorse whoever the winner was. So if I'm just,
I don't remember off the top of my head now, but I would assume that she would.
I heard that she stated that, but that Abdul wouldn't make the same statement. Can anybody link me that? Or is that true? Or can I? Because I want to repeat that as just like an anti-Abdul talking point.
Oh, I feel like he said he was just going to win or something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm curious how true that is. On the debate stage, she already did endorse something. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that during the primaries when they were running, that I think I've read. That's something I don't know, but I've read that Haley Stevens said that she would endorse Abdul if she lost, but that Abdul would make the same statement, which would be a little bit ironic.
Introduced him, and it was very warm and congenial introduction. Of course, he didn't just accept that. El Sayed reciprocated.
Are you not worried that you're going to alienate every other lib content creator who's blue no matter who? Pisco, Josiah, maybe Ira soon, maybe Hutch eventually, maybe not, because it feels like things were finally returning to normal. I've never been a big like team sports aligned guy who wants to be on everybody's side or whatever. I will never ever be part of a political movement that endorses anti-West terrorist attacks. That's like so far beyond the pale for me. That's like a crazy. I would just rather not. Yeah, I don't know how to. I feel like that. I feel like
it's pretty self-evident.
Pretty crazy, yeah.
The generosity and magnanimity, but to have Whitmer, you know, not just like issue a written statement, but to go on video and endorse.
What candidate is endorsing terrorist attacks? There are no candidates that I'm aware of yet, but Hassan Piker openly endorses and celebrates like anti-Western terrorist attacks. It's fucking crazy.
You know, Jocelyn Benson and Abdul.
I mean, Daria Lisa going to an October 8th rally in support of Hamas. I mean, I feel like that fits the bill, right? Like.
And then for Pete Buttigieg, who's another, you know, he's relocated, he lives in Traverse City now, so he's a big Michigander now, and so for him to endorse Senator Peters, you know, the incumbent Democratic senator who's on his way out the door, whose vacancy they are vying to fill, you know, he endorsed Abdul, Chuck Schumer endorsed Abdul, I mean, it was just uniform. Yeah, Vice President Harris did as well. I'm sure President Biden would, but I don't know if it'd be much like
Probably blue no matter who. Okay. I asked her afterwards if she would endorse and campaign for El Sayed if she lost the primary. Absolutely, I'm on the team. I'm so proud to be on the team. She said, you know, Mike Rogers wants to rubber stamp Donald Trump. I'm going to do everything I can. That's why I've been a part of the process right now. I'd be excited and honored to earn the nomination, but we're going to finish this election and we're going to win. Okay. That night, would he endorse and campaign for Stevens if she lost? I'm committed to beating Mike Rogers. I've said that so many times, he said. I noted that wasn't precisely yes. As I've said, I'm going to do everything I need to defeat Mike Rogers. I wonder if he knew that Stevens had been asked the same question earlier. So this wasn't like on stage or anything. It was a little bit more, I guess I don't care, I guess, but okay.
Sure, I just like, why can't you just say like, yeah, if the other person wins, I'll endorse him? I don't understand why that's beyond the pale for any political person in the Democrats.
Yeah,
I could see
I think
like,
the issue is,
wouldn't.
Sure, I think the issue is, and I think it depends on the context where it comes up, is that I think it's considered kind of rude to ask during a primary if somebody would, but maybe that norm is changing because it gives this impression of like, you're not going to win. So I don't
know what he's talking about there. It's a very normal question. Just to be clear, very normal question in primaries. Would you endorse the other person if they won?
I don't know. I'm not sure what the norm is right now. Actually, I'll go back and check. But yeah,
but if one is saying,
if one is saying it,
that was never a norm. I don't know where he came up with that.
I think you probably should. Yeah.
Practice are doing the thing that they should be doing. Then surely their underlings or their supporters, Haley Stevens voters, should now obviously. I'll tell you,
it happens like all the time. You know, like you can go back and watch like Democratic primary debates from fucking 2004 or 2000. They get asked these questions very normally.
Has an obligation to try to appeal to them, right? We would never say that he doesn't have an obligation. But in terms of what they should do, they should follow what their champions are doing immediately and without any equivocation. Support El Sayed. Just like, by the way, I was ready. If Haley Stevens won, I was ready to endorse her the minute I was.
Yeah, that was drafted. I saw it. The amount of praise you foisted on her was unbelievable. She was the greatest candidate. She won the best, or she ran the best congressional race you've ever seen. No, seriously, like, yeah. I mean, you know, you got to be consistent with the methodology and with the standard vote no matter who. At the same time, and we talked about this at the time. I don't begrudge, you know, I don't begrudge Hutch and others as well. And I understand that there's not some selfish job on my part too. That, you know, the tables turn somewhat, and so you can at least like throw a jab there and troll. I don't mind that. I really don't, because I do think that two things have to be done here. I think we all have to unify behind candidate, no matter who candidate is, and the alternative is the fastest Republican. But also, I do think the secondary order of business is that the libs and the left have to come to some sort of mutual understanding that this standard, you know, even though it has not been consistent, it really needs to be, because libs are people too. And even though libs are falling in line, if the standard goes unreciprocated for too long, I do fear eventually that, perhaps not with Abdul, maybe it will be Francesca Alm, or maybe it will be Abdul, we just don't know, that eventually, at some point, a candidate that the leftist flank of the Democratic Party is really excited about wins the primary, but does lose a winnable race in the general, because the libs decide to do, you know, I'm trying to think what, was it Dragon Age, or was it the Hobbit trilogy, where like the elves saw, you know, where the elves and Thranduil like turned the army away rather than come to the aid of, you know, the dwarves, like, you know what I'm saying, like during the defense of the mountain or whatever, like basically like instead of showing up as the cavalry, basically just to stick it to the leftists.
But when leftists do it, no one gives a fuck, right? Only goes one direction.
And say, okay, we've experienced this before. You know, you're going to experience the same thing in a tit for tat, and maybe next time you'll say, okay, fuck, we did this. That was done to us. We don't like it. So, okay, touche. And now we need to come to an understanding. I do.
Another tit for tat debate involving Destiny. 2028 Kinzinger versus Mamdani for president. I don't know. It depends. Is Kinzinger running as a Republican? I don't even. It depends on like how much. Like I still haven't decided if like fully if Mamdani is hiding his power level to only to, you know, try to enact some like secret plan down the line, or if he goes the road of AOC and chills out a bit. I really don't know the answer to that question. It's possible. It's possible that the office, you know, that he learns some valuable lessons. And yeah. Hi, kudos with $5. Just look at what happened with Scott Walker. I think I already got you for that one. Corey with $2. AOC type early days lost us 2024 though. Meta with $10. I disagree though when people.
No, she didn't. How did AOC lose anyone 2024? What the fuck are we on about? AOC didn't do shit.
Focus on MAGA.
Bro, that was a crazy thing.
When the left get called out because they're trying to build a coalition, yet the left constantly make that harder by doing and saying stupid shit. Live Trucker with $10. We should all be mad at the DNC for letting DSA candidates run in Dem primaries. That needs to be addressed ASAP before the next election cycle. Can the party straight up disallow someone from running as a Democrat?
Probably.
Is that a thing? I guess it's possible. Can they stop that from happening? I don't even know.
Fear that could happen. I'm not saying that it should happen. I don't support that and I oppose that. But live for people. It's kind of like when I say that a politician that you may not like, either because they're too left or too lib, but they do something that you want. You need to give them the flowers. You need to give them their support, right? Because if you don't, these politicians are human, right? And if they don't get that positive reinforcement, if they do what you ask and you don't reward them, you renege on the implicit commitment, the implicit arrangement, they will eventually get frustrated and seek that support elsewhere, and that will not down to the benefit of your movement. So I think it's in everybody's best interest. And quite frankly, I've heard, I've thought about, and I'm still playing around with this, like having conversations, maybe like another interview with John Ali or Kyle Kulinski or Crystal Ball or even Mehdi, and bringing that up in the course of the conversation. Do you fear now that it's a preferred candidate? Not Mehdi, because Mehdi was very clear during the 2024 election that Vice President Harris was the preferable candidate. And that people he got doing, he caught a lot of slings because slings and arrows because he was telling other, Muslim Americans and Arab Americans, Palestinian Americans, do not vote for Trump and do not sit out this election. You will come to regret it.
He still does that.
Well, no. So my point is, but I am interested enough that I do think I want to have a conversation with some of the other leftist creators, just like academically. Like,
we'll see.
Have you thought about basically now that the shoe's on the other foot that a sufficient number of libs, even if not the politicians themselves, but maybe some of the electors, just because Haley Stevens has endorsed Abdul al-Sayed doesn't guarantee that all of her supporters will. It's entirely possible that a sufficient number, perhaps an outcome-determinative number of her own supporters, because of that blood there, will not endorse Abdul al-Sayed just because she will, right? And so, I do want to ask that question of more leftist creators who are either sympathetic to leftist withholding of support for President Biden or Vice President Harris. Are you worried about that? And what would you say to libs who are now in a position to fuck the left over the way they feel the left fuck them over? I do want to see them grapple with that. So, but I hope it doesn't come to us sabotaging ourselves and inadvertently electing MAGA Republican.
Yeah, no, I'll totally agree with that. What do you make of the following? I agree that's a real dynamic with some influencers and with some outspoken people.
I mean, I'm just looking at Mehdi Hasan's stuff, man. I'm just saying, he seemed fair in his coverage of Kamala during the campaign. Now, this is just a cursory glance at his social media feed, only looking for the keyword Kamala, and so it's possible that I'm missing a lot. But his coverage of her does look fair to me, and so I don't know. I included him a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about more kind of the destructive elements of the left. I still think that there are problems with Mehdi, not least of which this stupid shit that popped up on my feed. I don't think I would put him in the same category as Majority Report.
Oh. Mid-Marv, you're literally asking me to go and support fucking Hong when she's campaigning with somebody who calls for Steven's death multiple times a fucking month. Yeah, you can literally go fuck yourself in the ass.
Damn.
I don't care. That's my...
Who is he talking about? Who the fuck is Moot talking about? Please ask AI whether Mamdani has condemned globalized intifada or from the river to the sea. Earlier you thought he did, but I think you are incorrect. I would bet $100 that he did do a 180 on globalized intifada. I don't know about from the river to the sea. I think he did for both guys. Let me look it up. Claude, get on it. I think he did do a 180 on both of those guys. I'm pretty sure. It happened first in a closed-door meeting, not publicly, at a partnership for New York City gathering of 150 executives at Tishman Speyer. Pfizer CEO Alberta Bourla, the son of Holocaust survivors, asked him to explain his prior defense. Partnership CEO Kathy Wild said Mamdani told the room he would discourage the phrase because it suggests supporting violence against Jews after a conversation with a Jewish woman for whom it evoked a restaurant bombing. Public version, on NY1 with Errol Lewis, he said he now discourages the phrase, acknowledging that while some hear it as a call to end the occupation, for others it evokes violence against Jewish people. Reaffirmed in September 2025. Asked by Sharpton whether his personal views on the phrase had changed, he said yes. From the river to the sea, no shift found. Okay, so he didn't move on that one. He might have, but if he did, Claude didn't find that ship. Most of what surfaces on this is from outlets with an explicit editorial line. Fox, Free Beacon, World is Real News, Times of Israel blogs. The reliable spine is JTA, June of 2025, AM, NY, and NY1, CNN, Politico, and the Sharpton interview transcript. On From the River to the Sea, everything I could find on this dates to the original Bulwark Exchange and the NBC John Jay debate where he sidestepped announcing both slogans, framing them as expressions of Palestinian rights. I found no subsequent statement discouraging, distancing, or condemning From the River to the Sea. The July 2025 walkback was specific to globalize the intifada. I thought he had said it also from the river to the sea, but I could be wrong about that. Claude couldn't find anything on that one, but yeah.
Fucking line. He's over here saying, well, that's why Boggle, you're just like them.
Mr. Putin, the shrug is also why the GOP continues to win. We are in an asymmetric war with a party that doesn't have mutants. So you'd vote for someone who went on to Rogan.
Hutch Destiny speaking with Jola today. Oh boy, I'm sure it would be super sane and productive convo. I don't know, man. Things are heating up a little too much for me. It's getting a little too hot in here, And
whose podcast loaded this with thousands from vaccine denial, etc. The GOP continues to win. Well, when the GOP does win, it's because they're acting like how we want to act. The way that you're advocating for us to act is not why the GOP won. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. The issue is that we aren't willing to come together and support the candidate. I feel like it's the exact opposite argument that you're making, but is that a new account?
It's like a month old, yeah.
Based. Okay.
No doubt about that. But among the actual electorate and voting population, I feel like it's not representative of them. I feel like the left by and large came through for Kamala when we're just talking about voters, right?
And then now we're going to play the same game where we equivocate on what we mean when we say the left or what we mean when we pretend like, well, the voters came through, which they did, by the way. Most people that voted for Bernie, most people that voted for any leftist DSA type thing or socialist type thing, most of them do come out and vote Democrat. That is true. But that's not what we're talking about. Nobody's made that claim that most of the people that supported Bernie or most of the people that supported whatever leftist ended up not voting for the candidate. But it's not about what most of the people did. It's about the messaging from the top of their political establishments. And that messaging is that the Democrats and the Republicans are the same. Otherwise, what was the underlying movement?
So the polling data shows that the idea that there was it's the same thing in 2016. The overwhelming majority of Bernie supporters voted for Vice President Harris. I mean, this really is not like this, but it is an issue on margins, and margins can determine elections, right? So I
don't understand where this has to be bad faith at this point from Josiah and Pisco to continually misunderstand this point and to play this game over and over and over again. It has to be bad faith. And
what particular point does he? I thought I was listening, but what did he say that was so bad right there?
People that voted for any leftist.
It's about the rhetoric coming from the top. of the leftist movement, right? It's always fairly detrimental towards the democratic establishment.
DSA type thing or socialist type thing. Most of them do come out and vote Democrat. That is true. But that's not what we're talking about. Like, nobody's made that claim that most of the people that supported Bernie or most of the people that supported whatever leftist ended up not voting for the candidate. But it's not about what most of the people did. It's about the messaging from the top of their political establishments. And that messaging is that the Democrats and the Republicans are the same. Otherwise, what was the underlying movement?
So the polling data shows that the idea that there was like it's the same thing in 2016. The overwhelming majority of Bernie supporters voted for Vice President Harris. I mean, this really is not like this, but it is an issue on the margins, and margins can determine elections, right? So I
don't understand whether this has to be bad faith at this point from Josiah and Pisco to continually misunderstand this point and to play this game over and over and over again. It has to be bad faith, and I don't know if it's like a thing to get on some other larger streamer's good side or what. I don't understand how they can continue to.
I'm a little confused because what I thought I heard Josiah say a moment ago was a bit of an acknowledgement that negative rhetoric can impact elections on the margins. I don't know. Maybe he's thinking about an older point that I'm not really.
Yeah, but if it's the rhetoric all the time, right, it slowly sways public opinion to think that Dems are basically the same as Republicans, right? And the Republicans doing horrendous shit, that's going to seep into people's brains that's either somehow like an expected norm from Republicans, or that voting for Dems would not reverse those things, right? Which would affect voter turnout. That's the problem.
Themselves over this point over and over again. Nobody has ever claimed ever on our side. Nobody's ever said the majority of socialist identified people don't vote for Democrats. The majority of Hassan's fans don't vote for Democrats. The majority of Bernie supporters. Nobody has ever made that claim. These guys have think of the straw, the poor straw. That
am I crazy? Is that not the point that Josiah is making? Am I crazy?
It's an issue
line movement.
So the polling data shows that the idea that there was like it's the same thing in 2016. Like the overwhelming majority of Bernie supporters voted for Vice President Harris. I mean, this really is not like this, but it is an issue on the margins, and the margins.
But it is an issue on the margins, and the margins can impact elections. Is what he's saying here. That's exactly what he's saying. Am I crazy, chat? Am I crazy? Is my read of this wrong? Like that's Josiah saying the overwhelming majority of like progressives supported Kamala, but it matters on the margins, and the margins matter in close elections. Am I crazy? Isn't that what he just said?
Top of their political establishments, and that messaging is that the Democrats and the Republicans are the same.
Listening to it the third time.
Otherwise, what was the underlying movement?
So the polling data shows that the idea that there was like it's the same thing in 2016. Like the overwhelming majority of Bernie supporters voted for Vice President Harris. I mean, this really is not like this, but it is an issue on the margins, and margins can determine elections, right? So I
don't understand whether this has to be bad faith at this point from Josiah and Pisco to continually misunderstand this point and to play this game over and over and over again. It has to be bad faith, and I don't know if it's like a thing to get on some other larger streamer's good side or what. I don't understand how they can continue to mind fuck themselves over this point over and over again. Nobody has ever claimed ever on our side. Nobody's ever said the majority of socialist identified people don't vote for Democrats. The majority of Hassan's fans don't vote for Democrats. The majority of Bernie supporters. Nobody has ever made that claim. These guys have think of the straw, the poor straw that has been reconstructed over and over again as this.
Listen, I'm sorry, but he's just wrong about this. I mean, there is a decent amount of generalizing that goes on sometimes, and the language becomes too generalized and too imprecise. And it is a fact that a lot of people do, as far as the online discourse goes. I mean, I've probably even framed it this way, but like, you know, they don't support our candidates, therefore, you know, like people do speak in that kind of language. Actually, I mean, I don't agree with this.
Tired, played out straw man to pretend that anybody's saying. I don't understand how like I keep saying this stupid fucking argument that nobody's ever made. Ugh.
I take your point, and I fully agree. This is not like
nobody's ever made the argument that like the lefties don't vote for moderate Democrats. Listen, I don't think that's true. All due respect.
This is not reflective of the left or the online left or Bernie supporters, whatever.
There's no data to support that. I think Kamala Harris outperformed Bernie by like a point or something, and AOC outperformed Kamala Harris by a few points perhaps. But like, to me, there's not enough of a sample to suggest that there's like overriding trend of this not occurring. And maybe that data exists, and if it exists, we're interested in it. Like, we're interested in it because I think it bears on.
Nobody has ever said that. Nobody's ever made this claim ever. The history of all of online debating kind about this topic, but they keep pretending that this claim is being made, despite being told over and over again that it's not the claim being made. They're like, well, we had.
I think that response is fair to what Pisco said, but again, it sounds like Josiah and Destiny are saying the same thing. I could be crazy, but.
Of this, we would support. Like nobody has ever said this. I don't know who's making this argument.
Maybe some of these issues of moral culpability, it bears certainly on strategy and that kind of stuff. But I'm just not seeing. I do think like a dynamic that's real online and influencers and organizers, and that's causing a lot of consternation.
Oh, 100%. And I just saw one of your chatters there, you know, say like now Libs was elected to be a Bernie supporter in 2016. I guess I don't follow because actually I think like he said that, you know, Libs are going to have to make some genuine concessions. Well, actually, when it comes to Abdullah Syed,
it's getting so like It's so fast that it's like I'm getting distracted by chat. It is. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of hard to follow sometimes. Hold on.
Maybe some of these decisions are moral culpability, it bears certainly on strategy and that kind of stuff, but I'm just not seeing, I think that, but I do think it's like a dynamic that's real online and influencers and certain organizers, and that's causing a lot of consternation.
Oh, 100%. And I just saw one of your chatters there, say like, now Libs know is.
Wait, hang on. That's Pisco now saying the same thing too. I am a little confused. That's Josiah and Pisco. That's Josiah and Pisco both saying that the voter trends are like very much indicate that far lefty people overwhelmingly vote for candidates like Kamala in general elections, but it's an issue in the online discourse, right? Am I crazy? Isn't that what they're both saying? Like whatever issues you have with their overall points they're making in the video that he's reacting to.
It's like to be a Bernie supporter in 2016. I guess I won't follow because actually I think like he said that Libs are going to have to make some genuine concessions. Well, actually, when it comes to Abdul Sayed, unless you just take for granted that an outcome determinative number of Stephen supporters.
Yeah, but the problem is that they're making that argument when no one brought it up, right?
Voters, liberals are just going to go ahead and support him, which honestly,
it would be easier if Destiny wasn't fucking banned on Twitch. We could just have these conversations. I mean, I could turn the Twitch stream off and try to have a conversation with him, probe him a little bit on his positions here.
On balance of probability, is probably true. Like the truth is, he probably doesn't.
We could do that. Like I'm just saying, we could do that. We could do that.
It's not guaranteed that he will lose if he doesn't bend over backwards support Haley voters. Just because we tend to close ranks. But the truth is, like, if anybody's going to need to make concessions in this particular race, it's going to have to be. Abdul is going to moderate. Abdul is going to, drift towards the center. We actually see already in the past 24 hours, not just in terms of his rhetoric and how he's talked about, Haley Stevens and her supporters mending fences and building bridges, but also, Chris Hayes, the night of MS Now, hit him with that quote by Hassan that's gone viral. And you can see that on Abdul's face. Like he's like, I just want to strangle him. You can see he basically is like, listen, he's a streamer. He's entitled to his view. That's not my view. My view is that we need to build bridges and mend fences, and that's what this campaign is about.
We don't cancel Thanksgiving, and we don't need to do that.
Right. And I think I don't have the quote on me, but I do think like there's a follow-up about like, will you campaign with him or something. I could be listening. He's like, no, I'm really focused on winning the general suggestion.
Wow, what a crazy solidification there of where he stands on it. Thank you so much. True, nice.
She's focused.
I'm just a politician. I don't know about what this other guy said that has shown up with me the day before my.
Is he listening on 2 times speed or is this 1.5 times speed? I take fucking Vyvanse and it's hard for me to follow these conversations.
And that I'm standing alongside. I don't know.
Who the hell is that guy?
I'm on 60 milligrams, guys. I'm on 60 milligrams of Vyvanse and I fucking can't follow these 1.5 times speed.
We got one. I don't know what we do.
Guessing that kind of like Roman he's going to have to really distance
I guess this is like, okay,
himself from Hassan now. And so Abdul recognizes that he has an obligation to try to court the votes of Haley Stevens supporters and just other Democratic voters, and as many people as humanly possible. And that's always the case. Vice President Harris had that obligation. When people say, because sometimes people get mad at us when we get frustrated, like, well, Harris had an obligation to win people. That's true. But the candidate's job is to persuade people to turn out for her. And Harris failed. I failed as a major political commentator because I clearly wasn't able to make that case persuasively. And so was everybody else in the space. And the voters themselves failed as well because they made the wrong decision and were dealing with at least 4 years of fascism. So we all have a moral obligation. We all have agency. We all have a duty to try and come together. But I don't think now that we're in the general, I don't think it's the quote unquote liberals who are going to have to make concessions of Abdul al-Sayed. I think if concessions are demanded, it will be from liberals, and Abdul will be forced to make them, not the other way around.
I want to respond to a super chat and also a follow-up comment from Demi Urge, who said, vote blue no matter who only works if both factions adhere to it, and only works when you apply them in the general election. I guess I don't understand what you mean by that. It only works if both factions adhere to it. I just take vote blue no matter who, and again, where there's obviously everyone has a threshold, everyone has like this bar is too far. It's a recommendation for individuals, and I don't know what about that quote unquote doesn't work if you have a group of cynical influencers who don't adhere to it for their own clout and purposes, especially when the overwhelming voting trend seems to be that both factions do adhere to it. But like even assuming that weren't the case, vote blue no matter who is like a prescription for what's the right thing to do, right? And that's true whether or not everyone does do the right thing.
I don't understand how somebody can be so smart on some discrete things, but like is so fucking retarded on macro concepts. It's like when we say all hands on deck, what we mean is that it's just morally good to go up and top and help on deck. That's what we mean. Even if not everybody is helping. And it's like, no, that's literally not what it means. What it means is we need everybody here, and that's what we're saying, all hands on deck. We need everybody to do something. If not everybody does it, it doesn't work. That's what the phrase means. It implies the necessity for everybody to participate. Like, not for some people to choose and for other people not to.
That's why I'm saying we should just retire this rhetoric. We should just stop. How many fucking years of this are we going to do, guys? Every fucking year, it's the same debate about blue no matter who valid and, what are the limits of blue no matter who. None of these conversations have ever been productive. They've never led to anything productive, okay? I still have my own personal philosophy. I'm still generally going to, it's just really difficult for me to imagine not voting straight ticket Democrat for the foreseeable future. I'm unwavering on that. But what value is there for me to to try to make the case for other people? Like, it just doesn't, nothing good comes from it, and it is just like so obviously the case that people like Kyle Kulinski, I think he's the best example of it. He's the most extreme example of it, okay? Because Kyle he's had a long career. He's been doing this, covering politics for 20 years. And for as long as I've known about him, he's never, ever, ever, ever been a blue no matter who person. He's always been one of these guys that was making a case against the Democrat in the race, or the establishment moderate Democrat. He honestly, like, most of his coverage of Kamala, I would say, was like positive, but he did stop short of endorsing her, and he did play into the, she literally did a genocide stuff. And then just like 3 months into the Trump administration, he wants to turn around to liberals and be like, what happened to blue no matter who? It's like, so it's just, why do that? Why give them that kind of ammunition? It's just way easier to just tell them, like, okay, don't vote for don't vote for Newsom. So yeah, do your thing. But that to me just seems like the better alternative here. And then that way, 2 years from now, when they do it again, You know, when they do the like, what happened to blue no matter, when they do that again, be like, hey, I never told you you had to vote blue, bro. Like, live your life. And we can stop doing this fucking merry-go-round. It's just so pointless.
Jesus.
Maybe you're saying something else like,
you're not a captain, so.
What? We're not what?
You're not a captain, so.
True.
How can you know?
Well, no, I think this is worth talking about. Like, vote blue no matter.
Like, I think like these kind of conversations that Josiah and Pisco are having where they say, you know, like it has to cut both ways, right? It's like, to me, you're like, when you do that, you're just giving oxygen to disingenuous people like Kyle. You know, you're just playing right into their bait by doing that, in my opinion. You're giving them exactly what they want when you do that. When you criticize other liberals for expressing skepticism about El Sayed or Hong or whatever, and it's just a lie. It's just a fraud. And so it's just, what is the point of that?
Who, you know, the virtue of that prescription is that you increase the likelihood of electing Democrats, and Democrats are, as a general proposition, better than Republicans. And truth is, the cold hard truth of it is that vote blue no matter who works, even if only a certain percentage of the electorate subscribes to it. So
not if you selectively subscribe to it. This is just an exploit. It's just an exploit for how your political movement will be treated. We will always support the candidate as long as the candidate aligns with us in a small area. And then for the large people, well, you guys will always support the candidate. All you are doing is creating a ratchet effect where they understand that when it's a candidate they don't like, then they won't support him. And when it's a candidate they do like, they will support him. And then we have to do this no matter what.
I mean, he's just right about that. Let's be honest. He's just 100% right about that.
Rhetoric only benefits those people because they know that no matter what their actions are, they can create an environment where it becomes EV positive to always support their candidate. Because
like, when do they ever get heat, right? Like, yeah.
They'll support theirs, but they won't support yours. So I guess we have to support theirs because they won't support ours, and it makes theirs more electable. Like, this is a ratchet effect. I don't understand how this is so difficult to understand.
yes, ideally, not just for, you know, not just a maximize the efficacy of vote blue no matter who, but also I think for just a personal sense of justice, we want everybody in the quote unquote coalition of the lib left, coalition of the lib left team, or whatever we're calling it, the people who are from never Trump Republicans all the way to, you know, AOC and Zoran Mamdani, whatever you call that group. We want everybody to get on board with the idea of vote blue no matter who. But even if people betray the principle, those of us who adhere to it regardless, those of us.
If people betray the principle is no longer a principle. If applied selectively, it's just a way to attack you. Like,
it's a weapon. Yeah, it's a weapon against libs. Yes. Yes.
Found out in the United States that half the country, for some reason, like apps,
and it's like a fraud. It's a fraud. It's bait. It's just bait. It's games. They're playing games. That's what it is.
Tax code, but just like wasn't paying taxes, and there was no penalty. Like, they were on paper supposed to, and they just didn't. Well, fuck that. Why the fuck would I pay taxes? That's not a.
And like, you know, the Abdul El Sayed race, and they unpacked it a little bit in this conversation. The situation with Abdul El Sayed right now, and the institutional support that he's getting from Democrats at the highest fucking level of leadership within the party, just utterly demolishes the left's narrative that the establishment would rather lose to Republicans than support a progressive. It just utterly demolishes it. He got endorsed by Kamala. He got endorsed by Schumer. He got endorsed by Gillibrand, I think. He got endorsed by Haley. He got a call from Barack Obama, which is not necessarily an endorsement, but when Obama makes a call like that, he knows it's going to leak to the press. And so the whole point is that it's a signal of support. And, you know, Obama did the same thing with Mamdani after he won. And it's like, it just utterly demolishes their whole fucking narrative that the establishment would rather lose to Republicans than help progressives. And they just like, instead of acknowledging that and celebrating that, they're still playing these stupid fucking games and lying about, they just ignore stuff like that. And they just keep repeating the claim that, you know, the establishment would rather lose to Republicans, right?
Morally virtuous thing to do.
That is, yeah, that's a pretty valid point. That is something that has been kind of pushed a lot. It's almost like, yeah, I don't know.
Do? Or much the same right now, we think the taxes should be increased. I'm not going to volunteer extra money. No, make it a law. You have to do a thing where, like, everybody has to be playing by the same rule set.
Who adhere to it regardless. But it's not a zero-sum game. By hearing vote blue no matter who, even when others don't, you are still increasing the likelihood that Democrats get elected. Now, again,
it's not about if Democrats get elected. It's also about what a Democrat is or what it means to be a Democrat. What are the chances you think that Kermie is more blur and alt? Is it, though? Just because they don't live by their principles doesn't mean we shouldn't live by our principles. People don't pay for the bus all the time, but I still do because I think it is the right thing to do. If people don't pay for the bus, they get arrested or they get fined. That's a law. You have to do that. If somebody catches you not doing it, you'll get in trouble. Would you still pay for the bus if we decided arbitrarily there was some group of people, if you're over 6'2", or if you're a woman or whatever, you don't have to pay your bus fare, and it was just like a randomly arbitrary thing? Or now that we decided that those people just didn't? Like, no, there's no virtue in acting independently if you need everybody to solve a problem. There's no virtue in that.
Pretty girls don't have to pay for drinks at bars.
True.
Maximizing the efficacy and the range of it. That's where you want everybody to get on board. But no, it is not a zero-sum game where if the left doesn't do it, it's bad for liberals to do it. If electing Democrats is something you consider to be good, then
we don't. Then now you have to torture like what they mean ontologically by the terms or semantically. What is the semantic content of the word Democrat? Right? Well, it's always good to elect a Democrat. That's not true. If Nick Fuentes ran as a Democrat, I don't think I would want to elect him. Just having the D next to their name, I can't believe that we even have to clarify this, but like it implies that there is some semantic content to the term Democrat, that there is some shared belief system. Now, it doesn't have to map completely on it. There's probably plenty of room in a particular party, even for you to disagree on things, on affirmative action or DI or what should gun control. Like, if there's some guy who was like on me most of the way and they thought that we should ban all assault rifles throughout the United States, like I think it's retarded, but like that's, yeah, fine. That's a disagreement that we can have. But supporting terrorism? No, come the fuck on. This is not like a vote blue no matter who. Even if the blue guy is a terrorist supporter, that's crazy. That's
in a vacuum. Obviously, I agree. Like we should. If we were living in normal times where there wasn't an imminent threat of upending like liberal democracy in America, as I believe that MAGA poses that kind of threat, then I do think that you need to introduce these variables and have it affect the analysis. And so, you know, it is a little bit like if we're doing the analogies thing, which I typically don't love doing, but it's a little bit like, you know, teaming up with Stalin to take on the Nazis, right? That doesn't mean there's not going to be a cold.
No. This is you have to sweep for everything Stalin did now, right? Now, when there's an election, the Dem establishment have to sweep for the unhinged pro-terrorist takes that Hassan has made. It's like, why put yourself in that fucking position to begin with? You know?
War afterwards.
Like, if Donald Trump lost in 2024 and it was really bad because of all the investigations and everything like that, everyone would look at the Republicans and go, well, why the fuck did you put him into the election to begin with? He's a fucking criminal. Right? Objectively.
And it doesn't mean like literally any conceivable or even like the most ridiculous thought experiment that you can construct with a D next to their name. You know, you're not.
You mean like a guy with Nazi tattoos and that was like a rapist, you know? Blue no matter who?
Literally saying that, you know, there are limits, I would say. Like my whole thing is like maximally blue no matter who, but there are limits. I think like obviously. I mean, it would have to be really, really bad. But like in the case of Wisconsin, I just think that if the Republican Party is able to shore up their institutional dominance, the people in the chat have been mentioning the fact that the Wisconsin Republicans, did you say, lost the popular vote in a race in, was it 2018? Is that what you guys are saying? That lost the popular vote within the state in terms of all the statewide elections, but still ended up with a supermajority of seats. Like you get to do that when you control the levers of power in a state. That's an insane advantage that will make it really difficult for Democrats to like claw back that fucking power. And that is something that I just keep going back to this idea of like, I don't think that is being given a proper sort of acknowledgement in this discussion.
Crazy.
You should do it even when leftists don't do it.
Here's the next follow-up from Demior. Says, the main criticism is that you are more tolerant of the Kalinske types who fail to do the right thing when it mattered. No one is talking about the voters. If we're just talking about influencers, we have all criticized Kalinske for that action. And so...
well, I don't know. I mean, no, I don't think... Listen, it's not about the fact that you might have criticized Kyle at this or that point. It's about the fact that they're, in my opinion, I feel like they're willing to give Kyle credit for something he hasn't even really demonstrated yet. You know, Kyle's out there saying that now he's changed his mind. He's blue no matter who. I don't understand why you would give him credit for that, absent any kind of meaningful test of that. Has he been meaningfully tested on that? Has Kyle come out and
He'll still support well, maybe he won't support Jill Stein considering there's a fucking warrant out for her arrest. So
worst any like pro-Israel Democrat that's won their primary during the cycle? Maybe he has. I don't know. Because when I tune into Kyle these days, he's still doing like fascist enabling, bootlicking, corporate sellout, APAC bot, Democrat versus the progressive person. Like I just, if somebody has done something for the last like 15 years, which is to say that they've like actively worked against the Democratic Party, didn't support Hillary, didn't support Biden, didn't endorse Kamala, in 2020, you guys, that's the craziest one. I mean, like 2020 was such a crazy election and the stakes were so immediate and obvious. And he's on Joe Rogan the night of the election, and Rogan asked him if he voted for Biden, and Kalinske says, no, I don't vote for war criminals. In 2020. First of all, war criminal. What the fuck does that Joe Biden? What does that word even mean? And so this idea that like we would grant Kyle charitability on this or give him credit for turning a new leaf before this newfound principle of his is even tested in a meaningful way, that's just crazy. I would never do that in my real life relationships. If someone, like, trust is earned, obviously. Like if someone in my life demonstrates that they do they have a destructive pattern of behavior or perspective, or they have a track record that I can look at, and then one day they tell me, you know what, I'm changed. I'm a changed person, okay? No more of that from here on out. We would never, like, nobody in either of my chats. Well, I should say maybe, hopefully nobody, but some people have a hard time holding people accountable. I would guess most of you guys, if you had a partner that cheated on you over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and then your partner, literally, if your partner cheated on you for fucking 15 years, you know, or like you had a partner who struggled with alcohol abuse and they relapsed, you know, once a year, every year for 15 years. And then your partner comes to you and says, I'm done. It's going to be straight edge from here on out. Okay. I've changed my ways. You would not just take that person at their word and be like, okay, phew, glad we got past that one. You would be skeptical. And I just, you know, my frustration with Josiah and Pisco is that they just don't seem to be skeptical of Kyle in that way. And I don't understand that perspective. That doesn't compute with me. That doesn't make sense to me at all. Why the fuck would you, why would you ever just like take him at his word? I mean, it's just ridiculous, right?
So I don't understand in what sense we're more tolerant than we should be. Are you suggesting that we don't ever collaborate with Kyle Kalinske, that we don't ever be polite to Kyle Kalinske? Because I don't understand why that is a good instrument.
And then he also keeps playing this autistically retarded, like, what do you want us to do? I didn't know what you were supposed to do. It's like, cover them like you cover any person on the right. You can see what you need to do. Go to your YouTube channels, look at how you do videos on Sean Hannity and Fox News and Bill Maher. Just like that. Like, you know what? Then this, oh my God, it has to be bad faith.
All right, okay. I'm gonna get myself in trouble here. I don't know if
Francis Gill is a member.
I don't know if it's super useful to keep publicly reacting to that. I mean, listen, I do understand Destiny's frustrations. I think I understand them. I just know, like, I know that I had a pretty big shift. I know that I had a really big shift, and we've talked about it on the stream before. Talked about it directly with Destiny before. I had a really big shift, and so I remember using rhetoric that I'd say is pretty similar to the kind of rhetoric I hear from my pals. And I wasn't being bad faith. I was just naive. I was just very, very naive. And it took me a little while to get there, but I got there. And I want to allow for the same kind of change in perspective. And so while I appreciate the frustration that Destiny communicates, my worry is that if you go way too hard, you end up only the people that you're trying to spar with on this particular topic just get more and more dug in, which is a very human reaction.
No, he's wrong here. You need to criticize them as much as humanly possible. You can't get someone to shake out of an echo chamber by not criticizing them.
To that kind of heat from a community as big as like DGG, and that might have set me back. Like if I was like sparring with people, you know, with other communities in that kind of way, then I think I might have dug my heels in. But I do think, just mark my words. I mean, archive this, clip this, mark my words. I do think that it will be like much more obvious that skepticism of those people is justified right now. It's going to be a lot more.
I'm too tired.